Hey guys, mid-workout here in the rat's nest, the studio, one might call it that. Thought I'd make a little video, a bit longer, on spiritual reading and the opposite, which would be spiritual reading and entertainment that is actually bad for your soul, because nothing is neutral for it. It's either good or bad. It's something you really have to come to realize, because we often think, oh, this doesn't really matter, but actually everything you do matters. Now what did I have here? This is from the book, Reign of Jesus Through Mary. Chapter 14 on spiritual reading. To him who wishes to walk in the path of virtue, says Saint Athanasius, nothing is more necessary than the reading of spiritual books. Spiritual reading, adds Saint Ambrose, is the food of the soul, which renders it dauntless and strong against all temptations, which prompts it with holy thoughts and ardent desires for heaven, which enlightens the mind, strengthens the will, and gives comfort in all afflictions, which, in fine, procures that true and holy joy which is found in God alone. For how many sinners has not the reading of a good book been the beginning of a conversion? Witness the examples of St. Augustine and St. Ignatius. But on the other hand, how many souls, destined for the glory of heaven, are doomed to the torments of hell because they have allowed themselves to be captivated by the reading of dangerous books, which are the scourge of our age? If you would establish the reign of Mary in your heart, shun as a deadly poison the reading of all salacious literature and novels, of which we can truly say with St. Francis de Sales, the best of them are worthless. Spiritual books, on the contrary, says St. Augustine, are like letters sent to us from heaven, which bring us into communication with the saints and with God himself. When we pray, says St. Ambrose, we speak to God, but we hear him speak to us when we read spiritual books. Spiritual reading, if we take time to consider what we read, may be more profitable to our soul than even meditation. That's a huge one, because people are often telling us that we need silence and we need contemplative prayer and whatnot, but you will hear a lot of the saints talk about vocal prayer, that when done incorrectly or done distractedly, it's not very useful, but when truly prayed properly and a good book read, devotedly and with a meditative and contemplative attitude, can actually really bring you to the heights of contemplation itself. So that's obviously the good, and we should always be sort of running a spiritual book. Devotion to the Sacred Heart is a classic. This is pretty much the sequel to that book. And then I guess the other thing I wanted to talk about is not Harry Potter, although in some ways it is, because I think it's a great example. I've read Harry Potter. I read it when I was a kid. I don't necessarily regret that, but the problem with these books that we often would label as good or entertaining books is that they often smuggle in ideology, they often smuggle in anti-Christian thoughts and stuff. And look, I enjoyed Harry Potter, I'm not going to lie to you. It's a fun, captivating book, it's got good friendship and stuff. But if you look at the blinking title of Hogwarts School, it's a school of witchcraft and wizardry. And that's a sin in the Bible. And people say, oh, but Lord of the Rings has magic as well. There's a key difference between the magic in Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. One of those things is that we would describe Harry Potter as a hard magic system in which one has to actually cast spells and perform incantations. Often the magic is performed on other people, so it's a sort of very invasive, aggressive, you would almost call it material thing of magic, which is kind of what the devil likes to do in the world. While the Lord of the Rings, really the only spell we see cast in the Lord of the Rings is Gandalf opening the door to Moria. And that was a very minor thing. Magic is not a predominant feature of the book, and when it is there, it's present in Gandalf because he's one of the Astari, so he's one of the Valar who came from Valinor, or basically he was one of the angels created from the beginning of time. You don't have mortals performing magic, so it's a very different thing than to what Harry Potter is. But that's besides the point. The point is that a lot of these books are filled with this nonsense, and really we should not be reading anything that has that as the center and focus of the book. Let's say it's not that and it's just a general book. Okay, it might be good. I don't really know. The point that Gabriel Dennis was making in that book is that we can't be mediocre in our selection of entertainment. We have to go straight to those things that point us towards God. That's the same with music, I love some 80s bangers. Take My Breath Away by Berlin, Top Gun, what a banger, jam it in the gym. But at the same time, we should not be letting these lyrics draw us or plant in us unholy desires, or plant in us dispositions in us that are not godly. So we really have to be careful in what we let affect our minds and our souls. And that is super important. We have our senses, eyes and ears. Whatever is going in ends up in the heart. It ends up in the soul. So we have to make sure that the only things that are coming in are holy and of God. That refers to books, movies, music. If it's not good, it's better to sit in silence. Much better to sit in silence. So keep that in mind. It's always good to hit some gym sessions with no music, no podcast, nothing. Just you and the weights. So anyway, we'll see you when I get this posted. Have a good day. Make sure you get some prayer in. Consecrate yourself to Our Lady. Hit the gym. Hit the weights. Pray hard and stay hard. God bless.